Agreed to. Sir William Seo.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to rise to give this contribution on the second reading of the Families Commission Amendment Bill. I want to acknowledge the the contribution of my colleagues on this committee, and in particular Jacinda Ardern and Dr. Rajan Prasad, because it was those two who took the lead in Labour's contribution as this bill was analysed through the committee. As the Minister said, this bill seeks to amend the Families Commission Act 2003 to make a number of changes to the role and operation of the Commission with the aim of improving decision-making in the social sector. Labour supported the reading of this bill in the first reading. We want it to go to the Select Committee as we want it to look closely at the implications of the bill and also to give the wider community the opportunity to make their submissions and to raise their concerns on this matter. We understand that one member of the Commission would be appointed by the Minister of Social Development as Families Commissioner, while the remaining members would remain members without being appointed commissioners as they are at present. The Families Commissioner members would continue to comprise the board. The restructure would include the establishment of a social science experts panel to provide guidance and academic peer review of any research undertaken by and on behalf of the Commission. The Commission would also be given a new monitoring, evaluation and research function, which would require it to determine where evidence and research would help decide or achieve government priorities, and to commission research and manage research contracts in the social sector. The Commission would also be required to prepare and publish an annual family status report, which would measure and monitor the well-being of New Zealand families. It would also be given access by the government statistician to individual schedules for research or statistical purposes. After the Select Committee process and in consideration of what we heard from submitters, Labour now opposes this bill. Labour believes that the changes proposed to the Commission in this bill continue an agenda to fundamentally alter its nature as an autonomous Crown entity into something close to a government department or ministry. These changes, in our view, compromise the Commission and will limit its independence and ability to advocate effectively for families. Given these changes, Labour stands by its policy of disestablishing the Commission and instead establishing a Ministry for Children to focus on policies and programs that place children and families at the centre of all policy and ensure their interests are paramount. And I think, sir, when we considered the significant submissions that came from the public, and the one that stands out in my mind is the submission by the Salvation Army, and more particularly reaffirmed in their report of She'll Be Right, one can't help, sir, but recognise that we have a huge problem amongst the children of New Zealand. In fact, the figures, sir, show that unless we actively have the political will to address the poverty that it's experienced by many families, we're just not going to get on top of it. And so, in Labour's view, establishing the Ministry for Children will enable a greater focus of energy and resourcing and the political will in attempting to address this issue, recognising that the issue of safety, well-being of our children has to be a priority for the long term. This bill before us limits the advocacy function of the Commission and establishes a Centre for Family and whānau Knowledge within the Commission to focus on consultations and advocacy. It is unclear to us why Peter Dunn is supporting this bill, given the government is curbing the role and independent nature of the Commission. The funding for this function is predetermined to 3.8 million per annum, but this centre is given the additional function of producing an annual family status report that measures and monitors the well-being of New Zealand families. Arguably, this can be done by the Ministry of Social Development. This function is likely to be the dominant focus of the Commission's advocacy function and will take up a big chunk of the funding if it is done well. It is likely that there will be little focus on the more general advocacy role of the Commission. The amendment bill stipulates that the Commission's consultations with families will be limited to its advocacy functions. Hence, its research and evaluation function will not benefit from the views of family generally. The bill also establishes a social policy and evaluation unit within the Commission with a predetermined annual budget of $3.55 million. This unit will provide independent monitoring and evaluation of programs and intervention in the social sector and provide research into key issues, programs and interventions across the sector. This section have the additional functions of identifying opportunities where evidence and research will assist in achieving the government's priorities in the social sector, commission research on behalf of the government, and managing contracts again on behalf of government. This will be closely linked to what the government is doing and thus eliminate the independence of the Commission to undertake research it considers necessary, for example, research into poverty, into financial literacy, research into paid parental leave, research into family violence, research into all the areas which our community have identified are important in order for us to address this issue adequately. It significantly alters the governance arrangements of the Commission. There will only be one Families Commission who will not necessarily be the chair of the board of the Families Commission. Others on the board will be members. The functions of the Families Commission will be determined by the board. The Chief Executive Officer position is retained. In addition, a social science experts panel will be appointed by the Commission. The Minister and the Prime Minister's science advisor to peer review the Commission's evaluation and provide advice. The Speaker, currently the Commission uses peer reviewers from universities, other research centres and independent experts. It is difficult to see how a panel of 4 people can peer review the range of research that might be undertaken. Once again, arguably, the Commission will be acting like a government department or ministry, focusing on the issues that the government considers important, questioning the need for this. This is, in our view, sir, a confused governance structure. The power effectively lies with its chief executive, as the Family Commissioner's sole role is redundant. It is unclear who will set the work programme for the Commission. The Minister, the Government, the Advisory Panel, the Families Commissioner, the Chief Executive, or the senior staff of the Commission. The advocacy functions of the Commission will be seriously limited, as it will be preoccupied with reporting annually on the state of families. This is something the social report used to do yearly, which will only be produced every 3 years. And recently, there's an example, Mr. Speaker, when my colleague Sue Moroney promoted a very successful campaign around paid parental leave, a campaign, sir, which was picked up and supported by the majority of New Zealanders, which this government does not like. But the Commission abandoned its role as an independent commission and agreed with the government on paid parental leave solely based on the economic cost rather than an evidence-based policy assessment. So that gives you an example that this government, rather than allowing the Commissioner, as it was set up to do, to independently provide advice, independently provide evidence-based advice, what they want to do is to be able to control the Commission. And so I think they're on the wrong path. The right path is the Labour Party policy of disestablishing the Commission and establishing instead a Ministry of Children. That then gives the government, us, this House greater focus of energy resources
Order.
on
Member's
addressing
time has
the issues
expired.
of children.
Visitor Sam Lotoinga.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for the opportunity. I thought that guy would be speaking until 7 tonight, but I thank him for his contribution.